Hey, what is up guys? So we have a very interesting deck profile today, and it's going to be a Fire Fist deck that run 60 cards and it got 3rd place at a regional. So the deck looks like it has some potential, perhaps, depending on what gets hit on the next ban list. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile, and the guy that ran it was Paul Blake, so congratulations to you for winning. And he also has a YouTube channel himself that I'll link down below in the description box, because that's kind of where I got some of his thoughts and comments on the deck, and I'm here to bring you guys basically what he had to say in the video. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile, then we'll kind of explain it as we go along. So first off, One Swallow. This card is probably not seen in a lot of Fire Fist decks simply because he's level 5. Yeah, he is actually accessible with Transmodify. You can bring him out pretty darn easy, and he actually has a really good effect if you ever play Fire Fist Mirror Match, simply because he has the effect of face-up Beast Warrior type monsters cannot be targeted by your opponent card effects. So that means no Bear Pop. So that's really what it comes down to. There's other things that target, but yeah, it's a pretty darn good effect if you can successfully get him out. And it also has the effect that he can set a trap, so he can kind of go +1 when you're technically going negative with a Transmodify anyways. Next up, One Snake, 3 Dragon. This card is good to open up with if you also have a Fire Formation spell. It just this deck basically revolves around a lot of OTKs and a lot of simple little advantages that it gets early on in the game. Next up, One Buffalo. This allows for extra OTK potential. Next up, 2 Wolf Bard. This allows him to actually make this card really easy, and the way that he built his deck was basically to be able to swarm. I mean, I know Spirit is at 1, but you can still recycle the Spirit with something like Lion Emperor. Basically, you have 1 turn to go for a really big push with Spirit, and then if you're able to get enough card advantage, you're able to activate this card over here, the ultimate Fire Formation Saito. This card basically is like the OTK. This is like the Crystal Abundance, or I don't know, Beckoning Light, adding all the Judgment Ray. Basically, you just activate this card. If this card goes off, basically you win. Yeah, this card just opens up plays to get a whole bunch of your Fire Formation splash/traps onto the field, and again net those quick little advantages in the game. Next up, Triple Bear. 2, I know it says Deer, but it's actually Caribou. They actually switched the name from TCG to OCG. But anyways, this card, during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed by a card effect and sent there this turn, you can spell summon 1 level 4 Fire Fist monster from your deck. Now, what's really cool with this, it has to be destroyed by a card effect. It doesn't have to be by your opponent. So that means if you have Diamond Direwolf, hey, that's pretty awesome right there. Just another thing that you can get, simple little pluses in the deck. That's basically what the deck does. This is also another card that isn't really seen too often in Fire Fist. This is Fire Fist Boar, so it can't be used as Synchro Material except for the Synchro Summon of a fire monster. But when it's destroyed by battle and at the graveyard, you can spell summon 1 level 4 Fire Fist monster from your deck, except for a copy himself. And then once per turn, when a Fire Fist monster is special summoned from your extra deck, you can set 1 Fire Formation spell directly from your deck. So that's a pretty awesome effect too. Again, going back to those quick little advantages and potential to OTK when you happen to have this card, or it can push really hard with other cards like Tiger King to add Tenki to put more monsters on board. And on top of that, you have cards like this, which you can kind of push for even harder. Same thing with Buffalo. He's kind of like the blaster, if you will, kind of just like, instead of banishing your cards, you just kind of just send them from your hand, which barely ever happens, more so from your field to the graveyard just to special summon him, and then just kind of go for game. Next up, we have 1 Rooster, or Chicken, if you prefer that name. Then we have 1 Spirit, basically the card that runs the deck, and if this card goes back to 2 or even 3 next format, Fire Fists are looking pretty good, but I don't know, we'll have to see what happens to Fire Fist on the next ban list. Next up, we have 2 Raven, we have 1 Hawk, we have 2 Leopard, then we have 2 Maxine. That's going to be it for the monsters. As far as the spells, nothing really out of the ordinary other than perhaps Onslaught. This card is actually pretty good in the deck because, again, what this deck really does is it makes Tiger King and it gets quick little advantages. And also this card is really good over here at the Cardinal. This card allows you to bounce back cards that you just can't deal with, like, I don't know, he mentioned in a video, I think Crimson Blade and Starry Deer were 2 cards that he bounced back in one of his matches, and that really helped him for game. This card basically allows you to clear board, and then if you can clear board with this card and then go for something like this, you got game. Like right then and there, this card is basically the tiramisu, if you will. It bounces back 2 things, and then you can just kind of push for game if you happen to have this. Like I said, there's a lot of times where he mentions that he just flips this and it's game over. This is like the return from the different dimension for Fire Fist. But as far as spell goes, Transmodify, it's an interesting choice to see in Fire Fist. I honestly would have never thought of that, but hey, it worked out for him, so that's pretty awesome. Onslaught, pretty self-explanatory. You just get to bring out another monster, then you normal summon, and then you go for usually Tiger King, and then that way you don't go minus because you're getting be able to add a card. Plus, he has a pretty good effect where he can negate effects also. Then, what do we have that's a little bit different? This is, you know, the card that some players like, some players don't. Basically, you get to target one spell or trap card, and your opponent can't activate it in response to it. But if you know how to respond to it, like, you know, basically, you can start another chain and basically activate the card anyway. So that's one reason why I don't like it. So if you really know your rulings in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can still basically use the card as long as you have your little setup with it. But this card, not bad nonetheless. Here's a card that some players don't even play at all. It's when this card is activated, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls, discard one Beast Warrior type monster, then destroy that target, and then they gain 100 attack. So it's kind of like a Regeki break, if you will, but it has that ability that it's not only a spell, which kind of makes it good in one aspect, but it is technically, not a surprise. You can't surprise your opponent and just flip up, Yoko. If it was like a quick play continuous, they need to make one of those one of these days. But I mean, that would come down to basically a trap. But then you could still activate it, from your hand, which would be pretty awesome. But yeah, this card, it's okay. You have to discard one card, and there's not very many cards in this deck that I can see myself liking to discard. So I don't know about that personally for me. But hey, it worked out for him. The next up, we have 2 Tenkies to finish off the spells. As far as the traps go, 1 ultimate fire permission, Seto or Saito. This card's pretty good. You can technically recycle some cards in this deck, but this card is basically like the win card. Basically, like I mentioned before several times, he mentioned that, he flipped it up and that's game. Interesting choice, he ran Bottomless, but didn't run like Torrential or Compulse. I think these are much more powerful cards rather than Bottomless Trap Hole, but hey, it worked out for him. 2 Vanity's Emptiness, it's really good against dragons. Next up, 1 KO. And then we have 3 Tensen, and then 2 Fiendish Train. Interesting choice to see Mistake in the main deck. I really do like this choice, and I thought it was pretty cool because most of the cards, you're going to be setting them to your spell and trap zone. So that is not adding them from the deck to the hand. It's adding them from the deck to the spell and trap zone. So I thought that was a really cool touch on the deck. Like, he, is using new cards for, like, I would say a little bit of well, it's not really like an old deck, but, it's not like Fire Fist just came out to support Mistake. So I think that was a pretty cool combo. Then he plays 3 Tenkin. And then lastly, we have the Warning. As far as his extra deck, nothing is really out of the ordinary. This card is new. It came in the Jump, Shonen Jump promo card, this card over here. But basically, what the deck comes down to, like I said, it's going to be a deck where you get some sort of little quick advantage, and then for the long term of the game, you just flip up this, and you get the win. So, very interesting deck. As far as his side deck go, I did want to mention a few cards, because I watched this video. It's a very long video, but, if you are interested in checking it out, hey, definitely check it out. But he mentioned that he wanted to put in number 104 Masquerade simply because of the Bujin matchup. This card, because it kind of wrecks Bujins because it's during either player's battle phase. When an opponent's monster's effect is activated, you can attach 1 material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. I like how it inflicts 800 damage. It's like, no, you can't use that. Let me inflict 800 points of damage. That could be the difference between winning and losing a game sometime, which is hilarious. But yeah, this card is a pretty good card against Bujins, and this deck, I mean, you have so many abilities to just throw out multiple monsters. You have the Buffalo, you happen to have Wolfbark, you happen to have the Fire Formation Tensu, as well as the Onslaught of the Fire King. So you can pull out 3 monsters pretty easy in this deck. One really cool old school attack choice was Pitch Black Werewolf. Like I said, this deck can OTK pretty darn easy, and you don't really want to run into a Mirror Force, so, that's an interesting touch. He just ran 1 in his side deck, and I thought that was really hilarious because I used to play a long time ago in one of the Game Boy games, and this card, I remember I loved this card because it prevented things like Mirror Force. Interesting choice. He did not run Torrential Tribute or Compulse, like I said. I thought that was pretty interesting. He said he wanted to make some changes on the deck. He did not mention this card, but Billy Brake really liked this card, so if you're watching this, Paul Blake, you can try out Gravel Storm. It is pretty awesome because abusing Tenki is always good to abuse as hard as possible. Yeah, pretty awesome deck from Paul Blake, and it's one of those decks where he ran 60 cards and he topped, so a lot of players are like, I want to run a 60 card deck. Now, for certain decks that you need to draw certain cards of, like for example in Lightsworn, I would not recommend playing 60 cards because you're going to have a lot of consistency issues. But for a deck that has a lot of search ability, like so many cards in this deck, where's Leopard? That's one of my favorite cards. in the Fire Fist. When Spirit was at 3, Leopard was so good. Leopard plus Tensu opened up really insane plays because you can like tanky and you can do a lot more crazy stuff. But this deck does a lot of searching, so you have the ability to search through your deck to add the correct card, whereas some decks just don't have that aspect of the Yu-Gi-Oh. But anyways, if you guys have any suggestions, I'll leave the download for this deck if you have DevPro down below in the description boxes. Man, this deck took me like half an hour to like find all the cards because I was looking for certain cards and like I would highlight them and like this card over here, deer, I was like, what the heck is this? I couldn't find caribou, but it's because you have to type in caribou, not deer. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll have to see what Fire Fists have in store for us next format, because if the deck doesn't get touched, it could be a potentially high tier deck. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.